Hey there, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we're talking with local experts to learn how we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. So, let's work together and keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come by remembering to protect what we pursue. Cooler temps have fish on the move, and our expert guides are helping us stay tight with those target species we love to chase. So, let's hear who's making the show possible and then jump into the reports. Listen up. AFTCO has a promotional gift for all Great Days Outdoors Podcast Network listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For those cold, wet, or windy days, I especially enjoy my weatherproof fabric barricade jacket, as well as my helm insulated fishing gloves. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918. You'll get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. Boaters know that the unexpected can happen anytime. That's why Seatow offers 24/7 on-water assistance with priority service for members. Whether it's a dead battery, running out of fuel, or needing a tow, Seatow's fleet is ready to help. Membership includes unlimited towing with no distance or dollar limits in your home area, fuel delivery, jump starts, and more. Plus, members receive exclusive discounts on fuel, electronics, dockage, and boat insurance. With over 500 ports nationwide, Seatow has you covered wherever you boat. Join today at seatow.com and boat with confidence. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine-grade aluminum with a protective anti-corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast-drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Doc. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. All right, you guys, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. And if we aren't talking to you before, have a Happy New Year. Excuse me, if we're talking to you after, we hope you had a Happy New Year. I'm excited to bring this guest back on the show. We've had her on a time or two. What she does is near and dear to me, and I think anybody that's ever been captured in one of her photos. Miss Jenny Ohmsen with Shutterspeed. Welcome back to the show. How you doing, Jenny?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Man, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about, but first, just like catch us up. How was Christmas? How was the holidays? How's it been shooting in the freezing cold temperatures?
It's been fun. Christmas was good. Christmas Eve, I went fishing with Eric and some of the girlfriends, and we didn't catch anything that day, but we still had a good time. Um, and just been hanging around family. And thankfully, this year I finally got some good cold gear, so I'm not as
Ah,
cold. And then the boats with the curtains are life-saving.
oh my gosh, yes, I can definitely attest to that. And what kind of cold weather gear are you rocking when you're out there?
I just have some good base layers. I basically have some like ski overalls,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then like a Greenwich jacket, and then the West Marine windproof jacket,
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
and a beanie.
I'm gonna have to hook you. I'm gonna have to hook you up with some Aftco gear. I just got a hold of these breakwater gloves, and they're waterproof, but they are also still a knit glove with some rubber grip, and then of course your whatever they call it, electrostatic or whatever the fingertips work on electronics. I'm sure there's a very fancy terminology for that, but I can't think of it at the moment. But yeah, we'll have to get you hooked up with some of that for shooting in the cold because I know it's uh, one thing to be sitting there on the boat with your hands in your pocket, staying nice and warm, versus having your hand on a camera up in the elements, so to speak.
Yeah,
So,
that is one thing I am missing. So they're like blood red by the end of the day.
right, because you're also holding them up above your heart too, so
Yeah.
the blood pressure isn't exactly advantageous either. So we appreciate the sacrifice that you make in that regard. With your equipment, do you have to do anything special for it to continue to function when it's cold outside, or does it not really care too much?
It doesn't care too much. It might slow down a little bit when it gets too cold, so I'll, put like a little jacket over it while I'm not shooting.
Hmm.
But aside from that, it does fine.
That's cool. And for those who are tuning in and hearing your voice for the first time and hearing the name Shutter Speed for the first time, high level, just run us through like how long you've been doing this, where the idea came from, and if folks are out on the bay and see a boat, what kind of boat is it?
Um, so this is about my second year doing it. I just kind of was bored fishing one day. We weren't catching anything, and I had my camera with me. Started taking pictures, and then realized that this is the type of photos I like to take. And I was getting really cool candids of people catching their fish and their boats. So I decided to start an Instagram. I started posting the photos there and would just start saying, please tag.
Hmm.
And it just kind of took off from there. A little over 3,700 followers now. So that's
Wow,
getting exciting. Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And so I just love showcasing the community and letting people see like some really pretty fishing pictures, and for the captains, allowing them to focus on their charter guest,
Hmm.
while I can help them with their photos for their marketing or whatever they would like.
That's so cool. Yeah, I've got a couple of your pictures in my good friend Dave's house from one of the tournaments, and then I've got some pictures in my house that we framed from the Cobia tournament. It's just such a cool thing to have all these moments that when you're in the moment, you're busy. You know, you're cleaning fish, or you're reeling a fish in, or netting a fish, or driving a boat. You're dialed in, and a lot of the times, you know, the perspective from inside of the boat is so different from the perspective of like a chase boat, like what you guys run,
Mhm.
or when you're on somebody else's boat, or even when you're on the boat and able to be up in the cockpit shooting back or whatever. The angles and the moments that you capture, you know, they're such treasures because a lot of times it all happens so fast. And then when you get a chance to sit back down and look through the pictures from your trip and like relive those moments, it's so special.
Yep, and we have a C Pro 228. It says shutter speed on the side. Honestly, like this summer it barely got ran. I've been doing so many ride-alongs and being able to get pictures that way, that it has pretty much stayed in the our parking spot.
Well, that's good for you know, low hours on the motors and a little less maintenance. So, but you know, I did see that you guys did something kind of cool to the boat this year. What was that?
Yeah, so I call it a granny walker. uh, we put like a granny walker tower on the front. We had a guy fabricate it for us. And it's really
Nice.
cool, and it's allowed me to get some pictures up from up high.
Hmm.
And the first day we took it out, Casey, the chauffeur, was
Hmm.
able to get his first cobia on his own using the tower.
That's awesome. That's such a cool experience. Now, in my opinion, it is harder to catch a cobia from a tower like that without the controls because it requires a greater level of communication. So how do you guys do it when somebody's up in the granny walker and somebody else is driving? How do you coordinate, you know, when you see a fish, like talk me through what happens?
He pretty much just points in what direction I need to take the boat in, and I start heading that way. And then he casts at it, but it makes me a little nervous because he didn't make the platform real big up top. So like, as soon as you cast, you basically need to start getting down to like start reeling in, or
Ah.
else it makes me a little nervous. Like if you go to step back, I'm like, this is gonna be a disaster.
I know you're talking about. I had a guy fly fishing on my boat one time. I actually have a platform built now to fill in the hole, but up in the cockpit there was like this, you know, 2 foot by 1 foot area you could kind of step up on, but if you stepped back, you were pretty much dead. And he died, not literally, but he stepped back and ate it hard and hit his head so hard. He actually had to go to the eye doctor the next day because he had some sort of a weird thing that knocked loose. But safety is definitely a priority regardless of the vessel that you're on. If anybody's listening that maybe is a little bit of a photographer in their own right, you know, talk us through like what kind of settings. I know we talked months ago and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of like starting to really dabble and go deeper into my like settings and whatnot. Like, what are some of the camera settings that you adjust or change based on like shooting outside with high sun and water and the fact that you're on a moving boat shooting things that are moving?
Definitely the shutter speed to stop how fast the photo is going. The ISO for the lighting,
Hmm.
and then the aperture. I like to put on a real low aperture so that way it's a very blurry, it's a more blurred background.
Okay.
And it puts a high focus on the boat itself. But that really depends on how far out the boat is.
Got it.
Um, but yeah, those are just a couple of the few settings that I look at. Um,
aperture,
Hmm.
ISO, and shutter speed. So shutter speed
Yeah.
is like quite literally like how fast the shutter blinks to capture. And then what would be the difference between a high shutter speed and a low shutter speed in terms of like how the image would turn out?
A low shutter speed could cause the photo, especially with the boats moving, depending on how fast they're moving, it would just like blur the whole boat going by.
Got
So
it.
like if I have a higher shutter speed, it like stops in that moment and
Got it.
can get the boat.
So you get real crisp lines, real crisp definition, and then ISO. I feel like I remember playing around with this back in the day when getting a Sony digital flat camera was like the deal back in like 2008, 2009. Um, so when you change the ISO settings, what does that do for the final product?
It can add more light, but
Okay,
also any setting that you adjust with like the shutter speed, you also have to adjust with the ISO and your aperture because they all affect each
each
other.
other. Okay, got it.
Yep.
So that's where your real magic comes in, is that you've got it dialed just right, plus the sort of artistic eye and physical ability to like lead the boat or lead the action or anticipate and be in the right place at the right time. Which I'm kind of nerding out on all this stuff, but what I love about it, and like I said, I've got some pictures on my wall. My favorite one is the one that you snagged of me and my buddy Eric when we were pointed south back towards Lynnhaven, and Hampton and the sailboats was behind us on the
Oh yeah.
horizon, and you got us like on plane moving, and our eyes are locked looking for a cobia, and in the background on the horizon is all these little sailboats that are just kind of like blurred, and I put it in black and white, or I think you put it in black and white. It's just such a it's a total vibe. I can stare at that picture and just get lost in the moment and go back to that time and place and just be like, ah, that was so fun. That was so cool. And then now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wishing it was summer and not just the beginning of, the year almost. So, but what is cool is what you've been doing for the past 2 years. You said earlier before we hit record that you had taken how many pictures now?
So, on average, I'll do about 1,000 photos in a day. So looking at how many albums I have right now, just rough math, I've taken over 100,000 photos.
That's incredible. 100,000 individual moments that have been captured. And if anybody's listening and has not heard Jenny talk before or heard of Shutterspeed before, first of all, shame on you. Um, go follow her on Instagram. What's the Instagram handle? It's Shutterspeed, right?
It's
Just
at Shutterspeed VA.
that's right. Okay, Shutterspeed VA. Um, and go give her a follow. Go to the website. You can look up. I think you've got all the galleries available from different things where you've shot. And they're super affordable too, because like I said, I've bought a couple of them and they're incredible shots. But it's just cool to go back and look through all the different like tournaments. I think you did Tuna tournament, you did Cobia tournament. Um, I think there were some other events you did. The puppy drum tournament, I think that Ava Bourne put on.
Mhm.
We were having a good chuckle about Wingman guide service earlier. Josh, it was all in good fun if you're listening. It wasn't anything negative. But all that 100,000 pictures has come together, and talk me through this thing that's coming up in January. What's it called? Where did the inspiration come from? And what can we expect if we attend?
Yeah, so it's January 23rd. It's called Tribute to the Bay. I wanted to do something that showcases our fishery. Yes, I said tribute to the Bay, but it's really our entire fishing community. Um, I absolutely love, people seeing the photos online and everything like that, but you might could attest to this. There's something different about seeing a photo printed out and
Yes.
displayed. So it'll be very much like an art gallery. The doors will open at 4. It ends at 9. You can come and go as you please. There will be hors d'oeuvres and a beer and wine cash bar.
Hmm.
Um, there will be photos of like captains showcased and their mates and things like that. And I'll have like some information about the captains and such, but there's also going to be a lot of photos of like recreational fishermen. If there is a photo of you at the event, you can take it home. So that is
Oh,
something that you can have.
like
And
literally just have if I buy a ticket and come
yep.
to the event and see myself in a photo, and like what if I see myself like in the background somewhere? Does that still count? I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
if you see yourself, you can have it. Um,
I'll be like, I identify as that guy right there because I love this picture. Um, no, I do want to like pause there for a second. So what you're talking about, sounds incredible, but obviously it is not something that's going to just magically happen. This is going to take countless hours of work and preparation to print all the photos, create those descriptions, uh, rent an event space, coordinate hors d'oeuvres, a cash beer and wine bar. Um, You've done the ticket sales process, which is great. As I told you earlier, when you buy the ticket, it automatically puts it on your Google or your Outlook calendar for you. But yeah, talk us through how do we buy a ticket? Where do we go? How much do they cost? And yeah, let's start there.
There is a link in my Facebook bio and my Instagram bio
Okay.
that you can go to, and it'll be at the very top. It'll say tickets for Tribute to the Bay.
Okay.
You click on that link, and the tickets are $25, but I believe after like processing and taxes, they're 38 or they're $28.
Okay.
It's per person. Your kids are included. Um, yeah, that's really it.
That's perfect. And I know tickets are limited because the space can only hold but so many folks. So it like we said, it's the last week of the year and here into the beginning of January, and this is coming up in basically 23 days. So if folks wanted to be sure that they could get a ticket, like they need to buy these like right now, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So guys, this is going to be such a cool experience. Not only, like I was telling you earlier, I went to the Hooked on Hope awards banquet that Mike Roby put on. Even just being in a room with all the other local captains and all the other local recreational fishermen, that alone is a treat because how often do we actually get to do that? Never you
Yeah.
know so that's going to be so cool to be there with all these folks not in your boats but actually together in a room and then looking at all these incredible photos and reliving these experiences and like maybe you'll be standing there next to Eric from Heads and Tails looking at a picture of a tuna and be like, dude, I remember hearing you on the podcast talk about catching that fish. Like now you get to like hear it from him firsthand as he relives that experience. So I think it's going to really be, like you said, an incredible moment of community for fishermen in the area coming together and appreciating and enjoying the art that you've really kind of created from all the passion that everybody shares.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And that's my goal with the photos is like I don't want it to be just another photo that you put on your wall. I want it to be something that kind of would look like art to you or would just stand out.
Yeah.
And I'll have other photos there that I've taken of like the bay and things of that nature. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too. I can't wait. I'm so glad that I didn't screw up my schedule and be out of town. I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped for this. So fast forward into 2026 fishing season. Obviously, we got Bluefin coming up, so I'm sure we can expect some epic photos from the Bluefin season. But into 2026, anything new on the horizon or more of the same? What can we expect from Shutterspeed?
I don't know that there'd be anything new on the horizon. It'd be more the same. Hopefully this year's weather cooperates a little bit better than last year's fishing.
Say that again.
Um, yeah. So I'm just looking forward to get back out there. I had a lot less albums this year, so I want to get more out, and just continue sharing.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for that. We'll have some more cobia tournaments this year, I think, out of that we'll probably do out of Long Bay. That one was a ton of fun. I know Brady and Connie, they've been working closely to do that Troutzilla, and I hope Ava will do her puppy drum tournament again because that was a huge success benefiting AES. So very cool. I'm excited. Thanks for being on the show and just telling us a little bit about, your passion, where this came from, nerding out with us a little bit about your settings. Don't try those at home, folks. If you're not a professional, just go buy shutter speed pictures. Um, and is there a website for shutter speed or is it all on the socials?
Yep. So if you go to the same link in the bios, it'll say something along the lines of like find my boat or look for boat pictures here. You can click that and it'll take you to all the albums. I think there's like 94 albums
Okay.
to look through.
Got it. And folks, if you screwed up at Christmas and didn't get somebody something, or if you've got, a loved one with a birthday coming up, there's a good chance that you're in those albums somewhere. So take a minute and go to the Shutterspeed website. Um, that's one of the greatest gifts that I could think of receiving as a fisherman. If I didn't realize that maybe my boat got tagged and all of a sudden I get a picture of my boat from an epic moment, that would be super cool. So, If folks want to follow you, tell us one more time. What's that Instagram handle?
It is at Shutterspeed VA.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for Tribute to the Bay on January the 23rd. And where is it going to be hosted at?
It's going to be hosted at the launch. It's in
Okay.
the same parking lot and strip as Ballyhoo's.
So what I'm imagining is we're going to have this awesome event from 4 to 9 at the launch, and then
Mhm.
this probably unspoken event that's going to happen from 9 p.m. on at Ballyhoo's.
100%.
I love it. Well,
Guaranteed.
I'm excited. Folks, go check her out on Instagram. She's going to be doing some really cool stuff in prep for Tribute to the Bay, and we'll hopefully get to see you guys there. It'll be great.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, that's going to wrap up a really cool segment catching up with Jenny from Shutterspeed and learning what she's up to. Seriously, take a minute right now. Go grab your ticket. If you have not, grab a ticket for a buddy and tell him that he's coming. It's going to be an awesome time. Stick around for a word from our sponsors that continue to make this awesome content free for you each week, and we'll be back with you real soon. Pure Flat Slick Lures are tried, true, and guide approved. Slick lures catch big speckled trout, redfish, flounder, and more. You can cast them a mile, and they produce a highly erratic bait fish imitation with a twitching retrieve. The tournament winning slick has helped many anglers set personal best records. Whether you're fishing the OG slick, the smaller profile slick junior, or the versatile lil slick, one is sure to find that unforgettable thump we're all after. Visit your local tackle retailer or pureflats.com for your favorite color and rigging combination. Go sling some slicks today. You can't catch them on the sofa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's podcast. I'm so excited to bring one of our favorites back on to talk a little sea bass fishing and a little tuna fishing. Captain Bill Papp is playing hooky charters. How are we doing this evening?
Hey, welcome aboard Playing Hooky Charters, man. How you doing tonight, Luke? I hope you had a happy holidays.
I did, man. How
Merry
about you?
Christmas.
Merry
I
Christmas to you
did,
too.
man. I did. My kids are in town from college, and I put them both in a headlock, and that was good enough.
Just to make sure they knew you still had it.
We did. We had a good time, man. I got my daughter some golf clubs. She kicks butt. I got my son what do they call it? A
Guitar?
ukulele. That's a
Ukulele.
ukulele you plug in. It's acoustic. That you plug in with an amp.
Ooh. Oh, that's
So now
cool.
he's badass. Yeah, he's
That's
awesome.
cool. For those listening that have never heard Captain Bill speak before, he's an OG from the big island of Hawaii, where that is, I guess, the nation's or the state's instrument. That and
Yeah, they do
hula
that.
skirt, right?
Well, I can't talk about those, but hey, look, yeah, I tell you what. I did. I grew up on Oahu. It wasn't the Big Island, but I just grew up there from a
Oahu.
few years, guys, and I have a place for that in my heart there. And we've done. If you listen to some of these shows on here, there's people that walk up to me on the streets and be like, "Dude, I heard about your trip to Hawaii," and I'm like, "What? Yeah, that's
That's
awesome,
right.
man. This is
That's
cool,
right.
man."
Well, man, what have you guys been up to? It's been freezing cold. We've had a couple of weather windows popping here and there. What kind of trips have you guys been running lately, and what kind of bite have you seen?
Well, man, I gotta admit, man, we've been doing some sea bass since the closure of the Bluefin, December 5th. We had to switch back to sea bass, and that's the main bread and butter. And honestly, the fishery is in great shape, such great shape that they're gonna open it up for they're gonna actually make it 20% increase for all the states from the federal level. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's gonna be really cool. So we're hoping for get it open from February for the rest of the year. Stop reporting in February. A little hint there on the mic here.
That's a big
But
deal. I mean, because I remember you went and lobbied, what was it, 2 years ago that you went
yeah, they
before?
made us fight for Seabass. They made us fight for Seabass and beg them for our income and say, please let us work. Please let us have an income through the winter. You close everything else. You didn't do right on the strike on the Menhaden. There's no striper left to catch at the ocean front.
Hmm.
There's no January fishery like there used to be. This great saving up money over the winter kind
Yeah.
of thing. And now you got us down to that. You can't take that away. So yeah, it was a beg. It was in a
Yeah.
position where we had to beg them for our livelihood at the time, and we
Oh,
got it.
it was awesome that you fought for it and won. And then just to be specific for folks listening, this is the Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council that works with
It
the
was a, okay, keep going.
ASMFC, which is the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission. And if I remember correctly, the Mid-Atlantic Fisheries Management Council gives advice or opinion on behalf of the locals to the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, and then they're the ones that actually make law. Or do I have it backwards?
Well, you got to go all the way back down to VMRC. Everything
That's
they
right.
dole out. Now, look, now our state could fight against them and try to get this and try to get that or break away. There's a whole bunch our state could do, but instead we get lumped in with Maryland and Delaware.
That's right.
And the fact that they don't have the greatest fisheries makes us have an all right fishery, because even though we have the best fishery, we still get lumped in. And then New York, we've even been regulated with the bay up there in Massachusetts. There's a bay up there where they catch fish in their bay with a mile offshore, and they were using, because they caught so many of this, that we got to take away that. And it was just unbelievable how they make that people sit at a desk try to make their job sound like they're doing something, because
Oh,
they're not.
wow.
They're
So,
really not. They're getting paid to do nothing.
so how does the increase work? So, like, with I was there for some of the cobia meetings and I kind of understood that, but with this, a 20% harvest limit increase, does it mean a longer period of time to fish for them, or are they somehow guessing at how many fish have been harvested and then shutting it down once they think they've reached a certain limit?
I'm going to guess this, right? Because I talked to a lot of Mike Lightfoot, and I talked to a lot of the commissioners of the VMR at the VMRC, and that's really what it's going to come down to. The
Hmm.
VMRC, our state, is going to have to fight and give us stuff and get us as much as we can. And the bottom line is they're the ones that need to take, and each probably it's probably going to be, what my understanding is, they're going to probably put it down to each state, and each state's going to go say, hey, we're going to give you guys, because Maryland, say you're in New York. You get
Hmm.
3 fish. Maybe you get 5 fish to keep now, because they always complain. We only can keep
Ah,
3 up in New York. People come down from New York all the time to fish with us, and other
got it.
states. Like, we can only keep 3 up in Jersey. They're not happy about their limits.
Got it.
They should be. There's way more fish than they're allowed to keep, and
Got it.
and they know that because they're on the water all the time. So
I
that being
see.
said, I think each state's going to get an increase. Now they can either, and their limit up there, I think it's like a 15-inch to keep up there. Something like, it's
That's
probably
tough.
something like, yeah. So it's already tough to begin with, and they're going to probably lower it to 13. You get to keep 3 still. They're going to play some little math game with some people all in a room,
Right.
without asking a lot of charter boat captains what they think.
Right.
And we're trying to get ahead of it here in Virginia. We're talking with a bunch of guys, and there's some that are going to be for it, and there's some that are going to be against it. But I'm lobbying for, asking for the most, and get, you don't get the least, but you at least get something, because we
Right.
needed to have we don't need to report anymore. We're the only state that reports, and had all our sea bass taken away from us in the summer because of what we reported. And the summer fishery's not that great. It's not, you can't, I'm not the best or one of the best, but we're one of the top boats in the state for when it comes to these wreck fishing trips. And over the years, all it takes is looking at our pictures, talking
Yeah.
with us captains. But I'll tell you, I will not sell a summer sea bass trip. I won't sell one. They're not going to get their limit. Wait
Right.
for the winter time when they close it on us. Wait for when it's the best, when it's shut down and we
Right.
can't catch them. But that's when it's the best, and that's when
Yeah.
the fishing is the best. It's a balance in nature. When there's a fish out in front of you, you should be able to catch it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Hey, it's like this. Why is there a cobia season? And I hate to tell you that, but why is there one? If they're here, you catch them. If they're not, you can't. But
Right.
I gotta wait. I gotta let them all go and hook them all in the face in the first month, and then watch everybody else smack them in the bay.
Yeah.
I get it. That's how it goes. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's one or the other. Yeah, and I don't want people not to catch them.
Right.
I
The
mean,
season, the season for some things is just organic. They're there when they're there,
yes,
and they're not when they're not.
yeah.
But yeah, totally see what you're saying. So it's not necessarily like a longer season, but it would be that if the, current per person limit is say 15 with a minimum size of, what is it, 13 and a
13
half?
inches, correct.
Okay,
13. It's
13.
13.
So it might
It's,
adjust in some way, meaning like either go down to 12 and a half inches
yes.
or increase to, 17 per person or something like that.
That would be an increase. That would be one, and keep the season the way it is. Or they could, here's what they, and this is simple math. If you do this, and it's simple human nature. If you take away the pressure of February, think about it. You know how many boats have went out there in seas, including yours truly. Maybe
Hmm.
they shouldn't have challenged to get through the winter and make a few bucks
Yeah.
put food on the table for their children. You
Right.
know what I mean? I mean, being dead honest. There's
Yeah.
a few of us that really do it for that
Yeah.
still in this industry. And at that being said, we've put ourselves in situations and waves where we only get that we shouldn't have. Now,
Right.
this is a great statistic. If you look back on my calendar, and I got years worth of data, how many days of February we fished?
Probably
One
like,
month we fished. One year out of all of them was the abnormal one, which you throw out, and the best one you throw out was 12. We had 12 days in February fish. And I'm like, you guys crushed them that year. Headboat smacked them. Everybody smeared them. But guess what? There's been months where I got 5 in. There's been months where I got 7 in.
right.
There's been years where I've gotten 5 in again, back to
Yeah,
back
because
to back. And so your
you get those
average,
northeast blows and you can't get out there for almost 7. It
no.
takes 7 days for
So
things to calm down, and then before
and
you know it, the
everybody
month's over.
and every fisherman and their brother, since that's all you're allowed to do because of these strict regulations and doing all these compactments, You're going to go flying out there to go do it then. You're going to have way more people fishing for, instead, maybe they'd go in January. Maybe, well, not if it's closed, but maybe they can
Yeah.
go in March while they're catching tautog. There's a few extra sea bass caught.
Right.
There's not so much pressure. Maybe there's a sea bass trip in March that's run.
Yeah.
Maybe there's in April, there's some sea bass caught. You know what I mean? I'm just saying there's more time to, and there's not many days to fish in those months either.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
reason it's called April showers because there's wind blowing the whole time.
Yep.
It's a lot of wind blowing.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember. So you helped get February brought back. That's the special February season.
Right.
But aside from that, where is it typically closed during the year?
All right. Well, let's go back 5 years.
Okay.
Before 5 years, it was never closed ever. It was open year round. Let's go forever. Before that. So 5 years ago, geniuses decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and shorten this whole thing down because the federal people who have no idea what they're counting out there have no basis of statistics besides a bunch of numbers in this commercial. Was it a good captain? Was it an old captain? Was it a great wreck? Was it a new wreck? Was it a good season, bad season? There's so many sunny day, cloudy day, partly cloudies you can just
Right.
do with numbers and statistics that you can literally put them however you want. So they shut it all down. They're going to shut us down, and they pulled all these months away from us. Next thing you know, everybody gave up the whole winter. But you know what? Virginia, everybody had the option to ask for the February, but nobody did. But Virginia asked for the February one year. And it was the first year they shut it down. We've never had that happen. This is coming from years of 25 per person limits. And then
Wow.
coming down to 15 to all of a sudden, from 12 to 13, because it was 12 inches forever, and all of a sudden to 13, and we get 15. Okay, fine. We deal with that. We move on from that. And then it's all of a sudden the next year they didn't want to fight for it. They didn't want to ask for the sea bass season because we had to pay too many back in the summer, and it messed up a couple of the bigger boats that run out there with people on the commissions living during the summer because they're throwing fish back. I mean, and they sell those trips maybe, or while they're a part of that. I don't know, man. I just know that when they opened it, we had to fight for it. That's the next year we had to fight, and then that's the year the Lynnhaven came across the bow, and that's
Mm.
the next year we had to fight one more time, and that's the next year I said I will not be put in a position to grovel with them. I
Yeah.
told you last year too, is if I have to and all the guys need me to, I'll go, but
Right.
I'm not gonna put so I didn't anyway. It's just, and this year I want to have a talk with who we need to have a talk with, but I want to get accumulation from a few of the guys who are in on it. The ones who don't, I won't put their name on it, but
Yeah.
we need to ask for the most. We need to have it. No, if you don't make people go out in February, which you barely can, you'll have less. You'll have less people out. March will be a year. You get barely any days.
Right.
People are going to go out and bluefin fish while they're still open. They're going to be people out there in March. They're going to be togging. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's going to be people in April. The only thing you can really catch is tog too, and sea bass is not the bite. The bite's still pretty good in March. It's not
Yeah.
the greatest. There's different bites and cycles. If you want to
So
find the exact spawning season and close it like you did for flounder, do something. But
right.
if you're not doing that around their closures, you're not doing anything.
So in your experience, having been on the water as a captain for gosh, how many years now?
So I was born in a bathtub. And I just came right on out, bro. Nah, I don't know. I've been running a boat since I was, 19, 18 years old.
So
So
20 plus years.
25 years old. I'm about to
So
be big 30 years.
oh
Oh,
my.
wow.
So in your experience and opinion, what would be the sort of ideal season in for black sea bass?
I mean, I'm not an expert, and I know this, and I'm not the grim. But since you did ask me my opinion, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I think right now, currently, I think personally it should be open year round. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think the limit shouldn't go up any. The thing should be stay at 13. I think we should just watch the fishery stay healthy and get healthier and healthier, and then we can add to it on that because I think our fishery is healthier than it shows, and even all the windmill bases out there that
That's what I was actually
that,
thinking about. I was
that
like,
hopefully they sit there and there's plenty of those. But those will have fish on them for many years, and they're going to be a good source of fish. And that just shows you how much sea bass are everywhere, ready to pile up on places. And they're in places we don't even know. There's banks and there's underwater caverns. There's tons of places, hard bottoms everywhere that hold these fish and make these fish there. I mean,
yeah.
I've been recently wreck fishing, and I found a cloud of fish on the bottom on about a mile from my wreck, or the wreck, not my wreck, definitely not mine. The wreck I was heading to. and Facebook clear there. I'm clear. Anyway,
What do you
Anyway,
own it? Do you own the
I don't
rights
know
to it?
you the
You
ocean.
fish there all the
I
time, so
don't know,
you
man.
own
If
it?
people come to the wreck I'm fishing on, I go to another one. It's theirs now. I'm
Yeah.
out. If they want it that bad, they gotta try to push me. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit
Take
there
it.
and do that.
Right.
I have a few more. But anyway, yeah. So we found one, and we found a cloud on the sonar, and I was like, you know what? It's either gonna be sharks or it's gonna be fish. And I went back and dropped on it,
Boom.
and we every rod was doubled up, tripled up.
Man.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. So
So year
that's pretty
round, I
fun.
mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, in the possession limit of 15, I've often personally felt like, holy cow, like that's it's so many fish to clean. Like, is that like a good number for
Yeah, it sure is. I think
yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because if you look at a 10 gallon or a 1 gallon bag of meat, it's a 1 gallon bag of meat.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's 15 fish usually fits in about and with a little bit of space on the top. You
Right.
know what I mean? That's about average. You can get smaller fish if you're catching all smalls that day. Your guy didn't drive you that far, or he had to stay inside for weather, and he had to catch smaller size keepers.
Yeah.
Keepers are keepers. Sandwiches are sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
But you get about that size. Well, recently with the size of the fish we've been catching, and towards the end where they really start to get more aggressive, the bigger ones move in, push in from offshore. You're re- you're really seeing some really big fish. We're getting over a bag. You're getting a bag and a. We had a bag and a half for everybody leaving the other day. It was the
Wow.
biggest class of fish, and we got jumped by these ones. So, I mean, I think, and that's just and I fished a lot of the areas. I fish off, I fish in, I fish sides, I fish over here. I've even caught limits at the tower over the years.
Yeah.
There's sea bass everywhere. The other day, it was 17 miles. I think I went and caught some really really thick thunder sea bass. I mean, they're there. This is the whole thing is that the people that are counting aren't asking everybody the right people. Now, the people like us, we're not going to try to blow our own toe off and tell you there's tons of sea bass, work ourselves out of a job.
Right. Right.
We're not Omega.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not going to try to catch every single fish we possibly can until they finally shut us down or there's no fish left to catch.
Right.
We're going to
Yeah.
actually try to keep our fisheries. You ask the guys who know it the most, who run the most. They're on Facebook with pictures. They show you that they're out there. You know who the most. You can even talk to people at the marina to tell you the guys are. There's plenty of other boats besides ours that'll tell you the states of these fisheries. There's
Yeah.
guys from out of state will tell you how good our fishery is. I mean, there's other boats that Big Worm comes in here. By the way, Kevin at Waypoint Marine, shout out. Yamaha, shout out. Boys, Troy Marine, what up? All right, back.
Those guys are the man.
Yeah.
Men, I should say. Well, and it's good too to look at different species. So like their growth rate is important to consider. So one of the things that we've, talked about in the past is, you know, um, which fish is it? Tautog and sheep's head. Very slow growing fish, very old fish. And so when you capture those large keepers, you got to think about the fact that like that fish might have taken 15 years to get to that size. Whereas sea bass, mahi, even cobia, they do grow super fast, So I'm looking it up right now. The black sea bass, in 4 to 5 years, it grows about 12 inches or about an inch a year. So in 4 or 5 years, you can replenish almost an entire population of borderline keeper size fish. So like you're talking about windmill bases, new food sources, new shelter areas where they can grow and populate. I mean, we are I would anticipate only continuing in terms of like health of the
Yeah.
black sea bass population around here. It's only going to continue to improve.
Get better, yeah. There's tons of recruitment. If they would actually go out there with us, we could show them. I just I was in a patch of maybe 15 or 20 wrecks the other day, and out of those 15 or 20, some of them literally I left the wreck because we couldn't get to the big ones. There was too many just mediums and smalls just murking our baits 4 and 5 at a time. We're loading up tons of, and I go like, all right, let's go to the other one. We'd go to ones that had mediums and bigs and smallers, but the big ones were knocking them out of the way, and we were getting the big ones. So that's the ones we want to get. We were catching
Yeah,
and keeping, but it was just showing you that it was like hit or miss, but there was fish on all of them, and there was
everywhere.
so many. You had to leave wrecks because you were just all your bait was getting smoked by the mediums and just under. I mean, there's tons of undersized fish. There's
Yeah,
tons of recruitment, but this is going to be one of the healthiest fisheries, and it's not because we saved the day either. It's been like that. It's just that they don't want to hear it.
yeah.
They don't want to go out with us and see the truth. I mean, see it
Hmm.
right there in front of them.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like
you
there's everything in life and business and politics. And I'm not a politician. I'm not an economist. I'm not none of those things. These are just purely my anecdotal opinions. But it's like I've seen of what I've seen and experienced in life, whether it's in business, in personal relationships, or in things like recreational fishing. You've got really two sides of the aisle. It's like you've got an agenda bias that is based on gain, like typically financial gain, And then you've got an agenda bias that is based on like the purists or those that actually like are passionate and care about the resource and the sport of it all. And there's really it's hard to find an in between or a balance. And so a lot of these big corporations, like you've talked about, and we've talked about Omega, whatever, a lot of that decision making is just really boils down to money.
Yep, they get
Whereas
it.
like what you're talking about is like, hey, let's think about the actual local economy of people who are doing this for a living, who are providing incredible experiences to people that are passionate about getting out there and going fishing. And then you break it all the way down to like the grassroots efforts of guys like Mike Roby and Hooked on Hope and people that are like, hey, I want to use this resource for the right reasons, like why
Mhm.
God put it here in the first place.
Weekend warriors, everybody to
Yeah,
go get dinner. Go get
yeah,
dinner. Go get dinner. Like, I'll
yeah.
just let everybody know on our charters, we don't keep our captain and our mates limit too, because honestly, if I as many times as I'm out there, and I've had a boat in the past that had a wreck of ours that literally destroyed it by doing that. They went and caught the mate and the captain's limit 5 trips in a row. By the time I went back a week or two later, the same exact wreck, 60 miles offshore, I only caught throwbacks. It was incredible. We were catching four at a time before
Wow.
that, but they found a wreck that I had been. Somebody had went with me, and they got the numbers, which is it happens, and they told them exact spot. And I'm telling you, they went out there with the boom, 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 charter, 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 and they kept their limit over. Now it's to each his own, because I've heard of a lot of charters that they come to us and say they do it on this boat, and I'm like, we're not on that boat. I don't knock any other boat. It's not illegal
It's
technically.
not
Well,
illegal, but
it's
there's
illegal to ride down the road with those fish, though. If they give you all their fish when you leave that dock, now you're illegal. Now
right,
you're riding around with more than your limit for the day, and that's when you become illegal or not. I'm not, everyone loves to eat fish, so I get it. But here's my deal. I was only bringing this up to say that I do keep a few extra sometimes for me.
right.
Like, I'm like, all right, we just creamed them, guys. Get me a couple. And they're like, sweet. And they
Yeah,
start catching me fish. And
yeah.
Russ, I'm like, Russ, how many do you want? And Russ is like, I'll take 3 or 2. And Russ will get 2 or 3. So we'll get a few fish here or there, but we don't ever
The,
overdo it because it's
right.
our own farm. It's our own farm.
It
Not gonna kill
is.
all our
And
chickens. We're
and
not
it
gonna kill
has
all
to
our
do
chickens.
it has to do with whether or not you're actually fishing or not. Like from the actual letter of the law, like you could legally keep a limit if you were fishing. That's the actual letter of the law. But what you're saying and what I'm hearing is, or what I'm hearing you to say is just because you can doesn't mean you should. If a charter captain's out there keeping a limit for himself and his mate every single day when he goes, there's no chance that he's consuming all
Well,
of that for
yeah,
dinner.
no, 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 not that. That's fine. If they only go a few times a month and they do that, that's fine. There's a whole bunch of different stipulations. But if you're giving it away to a group from the north,
Right,
from a certain town
right.
that has, so you just, anyway, the point is, if you're doing that, something nefarious,
Yeah,
then that's different. Now, if you're
right.
feeding yourself, it's not. And I'm no authority on none of it, so it's legal. And this is,
Yeah.
we don't, it
Well,
all works different
black
ways.
sea bass is highly valuable fish. I mean, we talked about that once
Delicious,
before. The
delicious.
price per pound that it goes for is, almost $20 for whole and almost $30 for cleaned. And so, it's like wherever there's opportunity, like I was talking about earlier, it's like decisions made either for financial gain or for the sport and respect of the resource. And so, like you're saying, everybody makes their own decisions. We on this show condone those that make decisions that are in support of sustainable protection of what we pursue. That way we
Yeah,
can.
I only brought that up to say I keep a couple here and there. That's it. And don't expect to come on our boat and get our limit too. That was my point of that. Don't
Yeah,
it's never we get the question, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with asking. I mean, hey, there's a lot of things in this world if you don't ask, you're never gonna see. So
absolutely.
I'm not gonna knock anybody for going, hey, and as soon as they hop on our boat, can we catch this? Can we catch that? And they want to catch the whole ocean. We get those charters. They want to catch the whole ocean. We're
Yeah,
like, all right, now what can we kill?
yeah. Well, I'm curious. So you're talking about, riding by and seeing clouds of fish and stopping and seeing some bigger fish mixed in with smaller fish. Just give us a quick like little lesson or tutorial when it comes to sea bassing. Obviously, a 13-inch fish. Yes, it's a keeper. Is it a bear to clean? Yes. Is it going to be the biggest yield? No. If I wanted to really try to dial myself into like, okay, I want to make sure I'm trying to keep, 15 to 18 inches, like that nice medium size, or I guess borderline larger size sea bass. What could I do differently than I have been doing if I'm typically only finding smaller fish? What might I be doing wrong that I could adjust or change?
Plenty of things, man. So many different things. First of all, when it comes to getting your limit and you're going out there, there's no throwing 13s back in orbit. This is not. Those
Right.
are delicious fish. You want to get your limit. There's gonna be plenty of fish. And you know what? One piece of fish for your neighbor does not makes them not buy processed food one day does not make you a bad person. And a lot of people
Right.
like to share with their neighbors, and that includes their
Yeah.
friends and family. So
Yeah.
if you're catching those extra fish, there's none of them are going to go bad if you ice them properly. And most times when it's cold and you're catching the sea bass in the right time of year, you're not worried about it. It doesn't spoil. They're
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
So, but what was your question again? I lost my train
What
of thought.
what
Sorry.
if I wanted to really dial in on trying to find some of the
Oh, okay, to
larger
catch the big
fish?
ones. Yeah, okay. Now
Yeah.
there's gonna be some major things. The first thing you gotta do is go somewhere else. Because obviously they're not there. Because if
Right.
they're there, they're most aggressive fish. Yeah, I've told people this all the time, and especially this time of year. Don't put those squid heads on there. Certain times of year when the sharks are gone, yeah, go for it. Do what you want to do. Put this giant blob of squid on there and do what you want. Yay. All that. But you know what you do when you put a squid head on there this time of year? All you do is attract the sharks and catch sharks.
Are you saying
So
a squid head?
yeah, those heads with all the tentacles, the Rastafari, you know what I'm saying? All
Oh.
the yeah, those
The Rastafari.
the
Yeah.
dread, dude. I love
Yeah.
people. You know, I'm not knocking people, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Anyway, that part, the part that's
Yeah.
great when you eat the appetizer, you're like, give me the heads.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, that part right there is what attracts the sharks, man. So, and
Ah.
this time of year, you don't. So what I do is I say, hey, make the bait small as you can, and the smaller the bait is, you just catch sea bass. And then while you're doing as small as you can, we caught 3 citations the other day on pieces the
Wow.
size of my pinky, bro. It's
Really?
all on, yeah, man. It's all on matching where you're at.
Okay.
If you're further off and you're way off the beach, go ahead and run a bigger piece of bait. There could be some bigger fish looking at bigger baits out there. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're in close, or even if you're anywhere else where you're starting to see sharks, or anytime you're sea bass fishing, heck, I grew up on it. I didn't grow up on a headboat, but man, I went so many times with all these great captains over the years and great boats. The Bobby, anyway, the Nancy Ann, and Bobby
Yeah. Yeah.
Lee, and
Yep.
all the Rudy boats, all the Rudy angler boats, Skip and Fred Feller, and all them great guys. But anyway, they used tiny little pieces of bait and they crushed it. They killed trout. We killed monster trouts on the. And some, the bait change really helped. Like you put a trout belly on there. You put a
Mm.
certain time of year. If you could put they don't recommend it, but if you have any cut bait, like you catch a porgy or something, you want to cut him up, and you cut up a porgy, they work great, like a piece of. But if the wrong time of year, you put a piece of porgy, and you're getting sharks, and you're getting everybody
Ah.
getting sharks.
Yeah.
So you just got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to get away from that wreck, and go to another one. Just Kenny Rogers to tell you everything.
That's a great tip.
I always tell people Kenny Rogers tell you it all. You got to know when to hold it. You can sit way too long at a wreck catching nothing, thinking you're catching fish. And people, when you're off the wreck, thinking, hold on, I'm still catching, I'm getting bites." You're like, guys, I hate to pop your bubble as the captain here today, even as your buddies are out there having a blast. Guys, I gotta pop them. We gotta go somewhere else, and you gotta
Yeah.
stop them and get it up and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Make the move. Your
Make
guts.
the move. Yeah.
Follow your gut. Your gut's telling you get out of there. Get out of there.
And then on your Garmin, you've obviously got, do you know I know there's like a billion different types of transducers, but do you know offhand which transducer you've actually got in terms of like low chirp, high chirp, frequency?
Weird. I use them all. I honestly, I like the challenge. I sit there and I keep it like it's best on. I say medium is pretty good. Medium chirp's fine, but
Yeah.
up top I got it on high chirp, which makes it really difficult, and I kind of like it
Yeah.
up on top of it. And that's why I do the run the whole trip the whole time. Because then if I see anything at all, I know I'm in it. When you're
Okay.
seeing when you're because you got it turned up too much, or you're seeing a whole bunch, you're
Yeah.
thinking you're in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you could be in a cloud of bait or cloud of other stuff or just something around that area that you can't see without putting a camera down there.
Yeah.
And I like to leave it on a little make it a little tougher on myself. So when I finally see something, I'm like, all right, boom, let's go
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And it's finally something. And then that also makes it where maybe sometimes I'm not marking stuff and they're there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? 'Cause the other day I found that cloud of fish in the middle of nowhere. It didn't have any hard bottom comeback. The
Mm,
machine was just like the sand and the stuff. I was right around everywhere. But all of a
got it.
sudden, fish are just hanging out there. They're just there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what in the heck? And
Yeah.
so you mark that spot and you mark a few more in the area, you drift a little further up and you're trying to bring the lines in. After a long drift, and you find another patch half mile away or a quarter mile away. You're like, dang, I found two. So you find a couple new patches, put a few pins on them, and you're just lucky to go back and see them again there. And sure enough, I'll tell you the story I did, but they were there again. They were there back in their spot again and loaded up some hooks recently and posted a nice little reel with that to go with it. We had some real fun. In one trip we had 19 keepers and one drop, and it was six people
Holy cow.
dropping. Yeah, it was an average of 3.2 per person per person on the
On the
keepers per
one
drop. And that
drop.
was yeah, it was only a few hooks that were empty. It was some throwbacks, but that was just it was a
That's
killer.
that's epic.
Yeah, it
I'm
was sweet.
I'm really kind of,
They were
thinking
huge
about
too.
what you said about the high chirp, and then I mean that matters for like the depth, because you guys are typically in that like what 70 to 100 foot range, and high chirp
Yeah,
works
you
really
got it.
well. You got a tighter cone that it's looking down. Do you ever adjust your gain or do you leave it in auto?
You mean the factory settings? I kind of move it around, but the weird thing is when you get it when you have a screen go down or something, you put a new screen in, then you got to redo it again, and
Yeah.
you're never gonna get it. You get it. It's kind of like the trims without that seat keeper, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Yeah.
you get it where you like it sometimes. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's like butter.
Yeah.
It's like butter on a ride. And then once you get it, redo it again, you're like, I don't think I got it exactly where I had it before, but you got to go with it. So I
Oh
don't know.
yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Even with the radar. That's the way I look at that too.
No, that's a good tip. And I mean, when you're looking on a finder and you see a cloud of something, are there any particular features or details that you look for to go, yeah, that's probably sea bass versus, oh, that's probably a pile of bait.
Yeah, I mean, it's abnormalities is what you're going to look for. Anything abnormal. But that means you're seeing something all the time, and not
Right.
everybody gets to see what we see. So that would be nope. It's called drop and swing, guys. If you
Yeah.
see something that's clouded up 20 foot thick off the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and recommend and drop. It's just go
Right.
ahead. I mean, that's what I saw. I saw a cloud. I was like, this is a 20 foot off the bottom, thick cloud in
Gotta be.
almost 100 foot of water,
Right.
and it was just like I was like, you know what? I'm going back. Get it ready, guys. I had Russ Moreau on the boat. I'm training him. One day take the wheel, and and I saw him bringing. I was like, yo, you just sometimes you gotta trust your gut, man. I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling like we need to go check this out right now. And we swung back around, and I was like, watch this. And
Boom.
so he was so excited. He ran downstairs just in case because everybody bowed up.
And
And it's one of those.
when you see them off the bottom like that, how do you make sure that you get your bait presented to them? Because they're obviously not on the bottom. So
Use the
how are you?
bubbles. Okay, if you're holding your boat and you're drifting, you're not throwing an anchor, you need to use the bubbles. That's the technique, guys. Never. It's the same thing in Hawaii when you dive. When you're snorkeling, you blow bubbles out and you don't go too fast. Then you won't get the bends. You
Yeah.
won't have the hyper. But same thing with when you're stopping your boat. You can run your boat full blast and reversed. You can go anything you want, but a bubble doesn't go nowhere. It stops. So what you do is, as soon as you see your bubbles, they're still moving. You pull the boat forward, pull it back, whatever you got it, whichever way the bubbles are going, go the opposite way till the bubbles finally stop and say drop. And then when their lines all fly full blast another direction, now you got current. That's not you. But if you're
Uh,
still moving and the bubbles are still moving, you tell them to drop and all the lines are going that direction just because you're still moving, dude. But you got to
so you're
make the
talking
boat
about the
stop.
bubbles in the water from your
Yeah,
props.
yeah,
You're
because
looking at those to
not
see.
even well, you got bubbles everywhere. You got waves slapping, you got the boat
Yeah.
corners slapping, you're gonna have a bubble somewhere everywhere to be the bow if you're going forward, you're always gonna have a bubble going by the boat.
And you want to make sure that you are no
Make the
longer
bubble
moving,
stop.
make the
Make the
bubble
bubble
stop,
stop. That's it.
and then
Once
drop
the bubble
down.
stop. That's
And
it.
if we're like, okay, we're on them, we know they're right below us.
Keep
Bubbles.
once you get their lines over, you want to bump the boat back and forth to keep their lines straight up and down. You don't want to drag them and
Got it.
drift too fast. You pull them too
Got it.
quick. But
That
there's a
makes
lot of
sense.
times when there's no breeze or no current, you almost have to move the boat. But that's in the summer when you have to make them frisky, and you don't want to be there in the summer fishing for them anyway.
Yeah. Too
So
tough. That's
yeah,
true.
there's a lot, and not to mention there's another 100 things you can fish for in the summer.
Right. A lot more options.
Yeah.
All right. I've picked your brain on sea bass enough. I want to transition to what is literally right around the corner and just get your thoughts. If I'm a recreational angler who's like, oh my gosh, I want a chance at one of these bluefin tunas. What are your predictions for January bluefin tuna fishing out of Virginia Beach? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to have the full season? Is it going to close early? What are we looking at coming up here, you think?
All right. Now this is trying to filter. My gut says it's gonna be killer, guys. I just swear that'll start there. But my gut says it's gonna be really amazing, and I just know it like this, and this is just because there was fish caught from Massachusetts to South Carolina almost on the December 5 days marathon. It was you got to imagine if the fisheries, in my opinion, getting better and better, and we're getting robbed by international committees that say that America shouldn't have all the fish or not enough fish or give us all the fish and give us over to us. But that's the real problem is they're out there. So I think honestly we're gonna have, and this is me just speaking from catching and hearing and seeing, talking with buddies, but there's a lot of fish out there. There's mediums to be caught. There's for recreational guys, like you said, there's going to be plenty of opportunity. Now, when
Yeah.
you get bit by the giant, now there's going to be opportunity to, get a giant near the boat, and it's exciting, and there's going to be people wanting to sell them and stuff like that, and that's another whole topic. But I'm not any authority on it. I love doing what we do, and we went extra extra out of the way to get the Coast Guard inspection to do what we do and have
Yeah.
all the stuff we had to have and to get so
It's
but
no small
that
it's no small expense. I mean,
no man
we
it's
talked
it's
about it
it's
last year. It's like 15 to $20,000 to get
you don't even
everything that you
recover it.
need. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even get that back in a year. You don't even get close to that back in a year.
No.
Even fishing as hard as you possibly can and being,
Yeah.
and making that your job for a living.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, but anyway, I get it. It's an excitement. There's not many ways you can get paid from fishing besides tournaments. That being said, that being said, for the thousandth time, yeah, it's gonna be a great opportunity. So for us personally, there's gonna be a great opportunity for people to ride along and help us crank in the giants and bring them to market. You want to watch the wicked tuna and be a part of that and go catch a giant because everyone, honestly, the interest for just catching and releasing wasn't that high. There was people that want to do it, but if they can catch one and keep one, they're really interested.
Yeah.
And if they can bring one to market, we had charters that postponed their trip because they couldn't even they were booked to catch, kill, and bring it to market. But because they couldn't do that, they canceled. They moved their trips.
Oh,
Two of them.
wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they understand that we're going to be catching and killing and bringing to market.
Yeah.
So that being,
They want to be part of that process. They want
yeah,
to
they want to be part of
experience,
that.
yeah, that fish coming on board. Yeah.
Yeah, and now when it comes to how many fish are out there, Jesus, there's so many out there. I'm not saying to kill every fish every single day, and the rules are the rules. You gotta let these go, and I guess these big beasts are surviving. They're not, I don't know,
Yeah.
they got to be. I mean, I guess right, that big they survive, and
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Those things are massive. And I
well, I mean,
sometimes
they got to
wonder,
survive
yeah.
because you heard about the stripers. Only two stripers died. You heard about
Yeah.
that big? The only two stripers died, and they used that against all the striper fishermen
Yep. And
for
now
all
it's
these years.
boom, the data comes out and it's like, wait, no, the mortality rate is not anywhere close to
So
what
what does
that,
that even? What does that say about the bluefin and all these other mortalities? What do you
right.
think? I think the
Yeah.
same exact
And the,
exact thing.
and the regulations are a little different this year because I don't believe we're going to have that, uh, 27 to 43 class like we did last year. I'm looking at the HMS angling permit on fisheries.noaa.gov, Atlantic highly migratory species, recreational Atlantic bluefin tuna, and it doesn't look like they've got that slot this year.
It doesn't. I thought it said 27. I just saw the one that just came in the email yesterday.
Does it have a does it have a 27 to
Yeah,
43?
yeah, it was 27 all the way up. It was 27 to under 73.
Right, but will it be that'll be one per vessel per day, not
Oh yeah,
two.
the whole thing is one. The whole
Yeah,
thing is
one.
one.
So that's the
That's
big
it.
difference. Last year
Yeah, there you go.
there was that
Perfect.
like small slot and then the medium slot and then the jumbo. This year it's
Yeah,
just 27 to 73, one per vessel per day. And then you have to make sure that you pay attention for the 73 plus. Once you get that one, the boat
yeah, for the
is
year.
done for the year. Yeah,
Yep,
okay. Got it.
yep.
Which in reality, and you want to talk about sharing with your neighbors, you kill an 80-inch bluefin tuna, you've got tuna for you, your neighbor, your neighbor's neighbor. I mean, you got enough tuna to
Yeah,
last a
you
hot
really
minute.
do. Yeah,
Uh,
you really do. It's just there's a lot of that tuna. There's a lot of different grades that come out of that tuna, and you'll find that not everybody's gonna like the tuna as much as they act like they like the tuna. They
yeah,
love tuna, but and they like catching tuna. So the best part is going out there to get them at this time of year, and we're gonna be running those trips as soon as we like you already stated. It's only gonna last for like a couple weeks. You probably
yeah,
figure it's
yeah,
gonna last. This quota is gonna last probably a couple weeks. So right after that's done, we're gonna be taking people out there to go catch tunas that are underneath to kill and everything
yeah,
else to be released. So it could be
yeah.
releasing a couple. And you know what I've seen, and I can't say I disagree or agree, but I've seen boats up north, and they're friends of mine.
Hmm.
Went 5 for 8 on the yellow on the big eye on the bluefin today. Then we got ours. We got our two, or whatever. You know what I mean? But that means they had to release 5 giants. That I mean, what a terrible fishery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, why is commercial closed? Why are we not able to sell these fish? Why are we not able to feed our family as water people that
Yeah,
live on the water that make money off the water? If there's that many fish and
I
there's that,
know. Losing
it's just
losing
terrible.
25 days to commercial fish in
One
December.
per day.
Oh, brutal.
One per day. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
even commercial. I mean, there's boats that can carry more than that. I mean, I don't know what they should be or shouldn't be. There's a lot of people that want to wave their arms because they can't catch them. You got to look at their share in the stake. If they're all on the
Yeah.
bench going, you shouldn't be able to kill more than one a day. Well, guess what? You don't fish.
Right.
And
Well,
guess
I
what?
mean,
We
look
do.
at the one per day. I mean, imagine a world where you've got, say, a full month of commercial fishing and just somehow magically, the weather was good every single day and you're able to kill 30 fish and the quota stayed open versus a year where there's only 6 fishable days in the month and now you're only able to kill, 6. That's a huge difference in terms of like the profitability and your ability to, run your business, so
Make it through the winter. It's like make it through the winter. I always say this, and it's repetitive sounding, but if you want good charter boats to take out people for tourism,
take care of
then
them.
you want them to make it through the winter.
Yeah.
How do you want these charter boats to survive? What do you? I mean, we
Right.
make. You think we're going to make enough to 3 months to put kids in college
No.
and buy and keep vehicles running and keep boats, new motors
Safe
and
and
upkeep and
maintained.
yeah
Yeah.
and lifeboats and all these.
Yeah.
You gotta take care of what's taking care of you. And if tourism is part of what's taking care of this city, then you need to take care of us.
Yeah.
And you need to go ahead and let us do it.
On a positive note, I think it's funny, obviously this is audio. Folks who are listening can't see the video of what, we see right now. But before we hit record, Captain Bill introduced me to his new wildcat that he has taken in and adopted. Pretty girl.
Yeah, her name is Angel because it's Charlie's Angel. My
Yeah.
cat's named Charlie Tuna, so you got
Yeah.
Charlie's Angel. But yeah, we call her Pretty Girl.
Pretty girl. So this entire recording, Pretty girl is very skittish still. She's like warming up, and she was like across the room and she hasn't come close to you the whole time. We started talking about tuna. And I swear she heard us because all of a sudden she just jumped up on the couch right behind your shoulder and was just hanging out. As soon as we started talking about tuna fish, is when she popped up. That was too funny.
That's Charlie.
Oh, that's Charlie.
That's Charlie. Look, she's eating. She's eating right there, though.
Oh, pretty girl.
She's been listening to us the whole time.
Oh, that's too funny. That's so funny.
She's coming and eating. It's cold tonight. She's in here hanging out. Just funny stories. I ran outside and closed. I ran her all the way around the house the other day, and I closed the doggy door on her.
Oh no!
Because we got a doggy door, and the cat just comes in the house, and just, next thing you know, just like Charlie's like, "Go check out my friend, my girlfriend." I'm like, "What?" And the cat freaks out when Pretty girl freaks out when she sees us and goes running up the walls, running up the door, running around, and then she blasts through the doggy door, and then over time. She's come.
Just
She's
like, oh
she's
wait,
come back in the doggy door. She's
it's
come
warm
back
in there. There's
Yeah,
food
she
in
comes-
there. That
and then-
guy's
and
pretty
then
cool.
They wrestle, they play, and then she's got a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Charlie's got the nice pace. She comes in a nice plaid. She upgraded there.
dude. I'll tell you. I know this is a fishing podcast, but we're on to animals now, and it makes me laugh thinking about the biggest mistake I ever made in my life was a mother a mother kitten gave birth to. My mother cat gave birth to kittens on my back porch one time, and then the mother just literally disappeared. And so these kittens, are out there. They're a couple weeks old, and they're just hanging out, and I'm feeding them out there, and I'm like, okay, eventually we got to do something about these cats. We got to get them inside. We got to get them into crates and get them, adopted. So I spent like an hour and a half luring these cats into the house with this plan to like, okay, once I get them in the house and I can shut the door, then I can work on corralling them and getting them to a crate. Finally get them inside the house feeding, and I shut the door. It was like a bomb went off. These kittens go ham biscuit. They're climbing up the walls, climbing up the curtains. They're tearing stuff up. I mean, it was like the Tasmanian devil.
my
It was
God.
absolute insanity, and I didn't know what to do. So I just finally opened the door, and they went bolting back out. And I was like, "Well, I just learned a powerful lesson. That was not the right idea."
Buddy, I went to I didn't go through that much, but I tell you what, she ran in the living room and I heard her meowing. I thought she ran up the fireplace. I was like, oh my God, what did I do, man? So I had to light a fire. I had to smoke her out, dude.
Oh
No, I'm just
gosh.
kidding. I didn't do that, dude. I didn't do that. She wasn't. Thank God she wasn't in there, dude. I was like, oh, this is gonna be terrible, dude. I'm gonna
Oh.
smack at her with a broom like I did with a squirrel that time.
Oh, it's too funny. Well, folks, if you want to talk fishing stories or swap cat stories with Captain Bill Pappas, tell them how they can get booked on Plain Hooky for a Seabass trip or hopefully epic bluefin tuna fishing trip here in the next month. What's the best way to get booked aboard Plain Hooky?
Well, thanks, Luke, man. Thanks for having me. I don't thank you enough, but I tell you guys what, there's gonna be a February season. I'm sure of. And I mean, if they don't have a February season and we just got more fish, then there's a real problem there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a February season. You can get booked. You can get booked with us, and we're gonna be doing the bluefin ride-alongs for the Giants, and we're gonna be doing the catch and keeps after the second half of January. So look for the walk-ons. We got a spot left for Friday. Might have some shots coming up Sunday, but you can go to playinhookeycharters.com with no G. There's no G in playing. It's PLAYIN. It'll pop up. We pop up on Facebook, on Google, and all those pretty well. And you can call 757-619-3530 if you want a chef to cook you dinner, girl. Just call that number. No, I'm just kidding, messing around. I'm messing around, bro. Shot my shot, bro. There ain't no real
Dude,
podcast. All the knuckleheads are like, "You're stupid." I get it, guys.
no, man, shoot your shot. Like you said
No,
earlier,
a
if you
shot.
want to, if you don't ask the question, you never know the answer.
You do, dude. And if they don't like seafood, man, it's gonna be a tough fit, man. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah, you gotta have a love for the game and love for the seafood, and you definitely have a love for all those things. Because I love watching your stories. Every time I see you out on a fishing trip, I can almost bet that I'm going to see a story later that night of something delicious getting cooked. And if you're listening to this, definitely go back to years past and look for Captain Bill on the show because he shares a couple of amazing recipes for black sea bass. Several of my friends have done the coconut crusted sea bass recipe. Absolutely loved it. I did it. Absolutely loved it.
Somebody from Wisconsin messaged me yesterday and said I made tahi macos from
Dude,
listening to the podcast
I'm
in
telling you,
Wisconsin. Yeah,
man, it's viral, dude. The
that's
Tahi
crazy.
Makos, you brought
They're
me
pretty
over
good.
after golf that day and made them for me, and I was just like, holy cow. Such simple ingredients, but just brought together so perfectly and cooked so perfectly that
I
when
want
you
to make
bite
those
into
tonight
it,
now. I'm making those tonight. You'll see it in the story
boom,
later. I'm doing
boom.
it.
All right, man. Tahi Makos away. Captain Bill, thanks for being on the show as always, man. Always a pleasure.
Take care, Luke. Thank you.
You too.
Happy New Year.
Folks, that's going to wrap up an awesome segment. Learned a lot about sea bass fishing, where to go, how to go, bait size. I mean, always pay attention when Captain Bill's talking because he drops these subtle little nuggets. And if you want to improve your game when you're out there, just pay close attention. Stay tuned for a few commercials from our awesome sponsors that make this content free for you each week. And we'll be back with you real soon.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Black Buffalo products are intended for adults age 21 and older who are consumers of nicotine or tobacco.
If you're 21 or older and use nicotine or tobacco, it's time you charge ahead to Black Buffalo, America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo dips just like the real thing, but without the tobacco leaf or stem. Get it now at Wawa, Circle K, Sheetz, Love's, Pilot, Racetrack, and many more that you can see on their store locator at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Tobacco Alternative is everything you love about dip, nothing you don't. All right, y'all. It's cold outside. I don't know what part of the world we live in now all of a sudden here in the lower Chesapeake, but we are seeing some 20s and 30s, and it is crispy. But the good news is there are some fish that still bite in that condition, and that would be our trophy stripers and slot stripers. So I wanted to bring Captain CL Marshall back on with Tangier Sound Charters to tell us a little bit about what's going on inshore and near shore with these stripers. Welcome back to the show, Cap. How we doing?
Man, I'm doing great, Luke. Man, thanks for having me back again. And I tell you, first off, I need to apologize. I know we were scheduled to do this yesterday, but we had a little. We had a great day. We went duck hunting yesterday morning, and it was me and my son, and John Lewis and his son, John owns Zimmer Ducks, and Tom Coates and his son, Sam. So we generally try to get together every year and do a little gunning trip, and we got into a pile of black ducks, and it was a good day. And needless to say, it was an early morning. So when you and I were scheduled to do this,
It was nap time.
it was nap time. I was asleep on the sofa, and I woke up, and I'm like, "Oh crap, I forgot." So
I can attest to that.
yeah, I apologize for that, but we've got it real good up here on the Eastern Shore, and with this wind lately, we've been doing a little duck hunting, a little goose hunting, and all. But when the wind lays down, Luke, I got to tell you, the striper bite has been, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. But a little bit of run for the fish, but the last trip we went on, we had 12 over 40 inches and probably caught 40 fish during that trip. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a really, really healthy stock. I mean, that's some of the best striper fishing that I've heard of in recent years. I mean, talk us through so when you talk about the wind laying down, are we fishing further north and inside the bay, or are we fishing down towards the mouth of the bay?
No. What we're doing, we're kind of focused on these fish that are migrating up the bay. That's what we're looking for.
Got it.
I haven't caught a slot fish in a couple weeks. I mean, everything's been on the overside of that. And we fished 5 times in the last 2 weeks. That's what we've done. Now we started out down around Smith Point Light. We had a real good bite down there right at the mouth of the Potomac, and we've been just kind of following them north a little bit. Now, the last trip we were at the mouth of Patuxent is where we were.
And in your experience, what has them migrating like they are right now? Are they moving south to north?
No, they're moving north to south. That's not
Okay.
true. I thought they're moving south to north. These,
Okay.
the rockfish that we're catching now were off of New Jersey a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
these fish are moving up the bay, and heading toward the rivers and the Susquehanna Flats and those areas to be to spawn here relatively soon. It
Ah,
seems the spawn occurs earlier and earlier every year. Uh, Back in the day when trolling was the big thing.
yeah.
The trophy striper season was held in I think it was April, something like that. Well,
Okay.
by April now, in 2026 when this airs, those fish have already spawned and they're heading back out of the bay. So the
Gotcha.
fish we're catching now, they're the big breeders, it's important to say that we're aware of that. We are aware of the resource that we put in our hands.
Right.
And these pictures are getting taken with. We're aware of the value of those fish, and there's a school of thought that hey, maybe we should leave them alone, whatever. Well, that may well be true. But for what we're doing now, we're using artificial lures. We're fishing light tackle. Uh, it's not a 30 or 40-minute fight. The fish is, hooked in the mouth. Generally, my past 3 trips, I haven't any blood on the boat. So
Wow.
that tells you where these fish are being hooked.
Right.
The bite's very light, and I can't think that I would be surprised if any of the fish we've caught over the past couple of weeks there was any mortality at all with them. So we're very careful with them. A lot of times the fish doesn't come out of the water. We will grab a picture of some fish because it's important to do so. Um,
Hmm.
on the business side of things. But many of the fish never come out of the water. We bring them right to the side of the boat, grab the lure, pop them out, and send them back. And generally, I know it sounds a little weird, but when we're on fish, you've caught one, you want the next one. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, you want the next one, and
Yeah.
it's funny because it's the cool thing about it is when we're on these fish, they're in scattered. They're not in one big school. They're in scattered schools. So I catch a lot of my anglers while they're staring back at the screen, and it's amazing how quickly they learn how to read the side scan. So, but yeah, we're fishing.
That's a fish. That's a fish. Yeah.
Yeah. There's and I got to tell you, the electronics are a big part of it. It's a lot of
Hmm.
riding. It's some riding involved. It's a lot of looking. It's almost like hunting, but when we find them, man, it is good.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
a couple of things you said. First off, I appreciate you kind of highlighting the no blood on the deck and the importance of proper handling of a striper. For those that maybe have never handled a large striper, in your experience and opinion, what is if you're going to get that, epic photo, what's the right way to handle a striper from taking it out of the water, getting the picture, putting it back in, and the total time elapsed? What's sort of like a best practice?
Well, University of Massachusetts did a great study on that. And I'd encourage anybody that's interested in release mortality of striped bass to take a look at it. What they did, they broke it down into the type of fishing, whether it be lure, live bait, water temperature, cold, hot, right on down in the temperature scale there, how the fish was handled, and how long it was how long it was out of the water, Luke. And, it all points to a mortality rate in this catch and release fishery of less than 5%, probably closer to 3. So, in looking at that information and in experience, what I'm gonna say is, if you don't have to take the fish out of the water, don't.
Right.
It's really easy to bring him up beside the boat because they're tired, and the water's cold, and it's easy to grab him by the mouth, pop the lure off, and send him back. Now, if you want to grab, if we want to grab that picture, which I encourage, a couple things that I would recommend. Number one, be ready to do it. You know,
Okay.
don't have to. Oh, where's my camera? Oh God, it's in the bag. It's in the console. Be ready.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Have the camera ready. Have a plan of action. Know which side of the boat the sun's on because you want the sun. If you're going to take a picture, let's take a good one. Let's not
Right. Right.
let's
Not in the shadow.
yeah, let's have all the rods out of the way. Let's here sit right over on that side with the sun in your face, and let's grab a good picture.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants that. So If we're going to bring them out of the water, we want to limit the time that fish is out of the water to a minimum. So, first off, I would recommend having a rubber coated net, not one of the knotted nylon ones. It's a lot easier on the fish, on the scales and on the slime, if you will.
Good point. Yeah.
Secondly, don't thump him on the deck. There's no need for that. I'm fortunate enough to have a full transom. I'll lay him right on the transom, and they'll stay there. And grab the fish by the mouth. Unhook him. First off, get that done. And if you're gonna hoist him up for the picture, which I recommend, is stay away from the gill plate. There's no need to grab that fish in the gill area.
Yeah.
If you get inside the gills up, next to the outer structure that's bony, you can grab that. But a lot of folks who may not have that experience, might get into the gills, and that's not a good thing. So I like to have him by the mouth, and these fish now that we're catching, they're predominantly female, and they're egg laden. They're full of roe right now. So let's not be grabbing them, right up under the stomach and pushing up on that roe. Let's get back behind it around the anal fin, by the mouth and the anal fin. I like to rest him on a lap or something, to kind of support it a little bit. Grab the picture, and then let's get her back in the water quickly. And there's not a lot of at this time of year. There's not a lot of resuscitation involved because the water is so rich in oxygen, and these fish aren't fought to the point of exhaustion. It's 3-4 minutes usually can get it done. But make sure the fish is in good shape and then let him go. But I want to stress, not putting any stress on the belly of that fish. If rested on your lap, one hand in the mouth, one hand back by the anal fin, grab that picture, and let's get her back in the water. If you can keep her out of the water for less than 2 minutes, odds of survival go way up.
Yeah, no, that's a really great overview and lots of good detail on hand placement, time, preparation. I think the biggest thing I heard there really is preparation. I think a lot of folks know how to pick a fish up safely, but the one thing that you can control is the time out of the water by being more prepared. And that University of Massachusetts study, I had actually seen that as well. Really, shines a good light, a positive light on, the mortality rates that maybe had been misconstrued in the past.
The science behind that 9% number they came up with there was no science. And the guy who did that study, he's like, this is not a good study. Please don't use this number. But, that's the one that seemed to stick, Luke. And that was just the worst thing ever. But, but with these fish, a couple things that have been consistent in it is, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, we went with big baits. Right now we're using these about an ounce. We're fishing usually 30 to 40 feet of water. Sometimes I add in 50. Using an ounce and a half to a 2-ounce jig head, and we've switched to these lures that when people look at them, they're like, Jesus God, they're
gigantic.
Gigantic. They're like anywhere from 8 to 11-inch eels.
Oh wow!
Like a rubber eel, and we're using that. I've got some Freedom Bait USA that are like 8 inches. We use them, so we're throwing big baits for these things.
Any particular color, or is it just the profile that matters?
I just think it's the profile that matters and movement matters.
Right.
It's you see these fish, like we had one that went 48 last week. And you think, oh my God, this is going to be a violent bite, and it is not. It's if you're not, it's very soft. It's just a small tick, and that's it. So it's massively important to if you're going to be successful at this to have awareness of where your lure is in the water column, and have have a little bit of feel to it. Many times over the last couple weeks, these fish are not on the bottom. They're suspended a little bit. Maybe they're 15, 20 feet off the bottom, but they're there. And I think the reason that they're in that general area is because of the massive amounts of menhaden that are still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
sorry, go ahead.
And with the, with those menhaden there, and especially if they're higher in the water column, what I'll do, and I got to tell you, and I learned this from some of those guys up north, I generally fish in the southern part of the bay, and now I'm fishing up in the Patuxent River and up at Chesapeake Beach and, north of Hooper's Island and those areas. And, I see these other guides that are up there, and we're very fortunate to have a good network. And that is, it's so important to have a good network, to be able to provide honest and accurate information to your, I call them my peers or even my coworkers or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them, because we're
Yeah.
all in it for the same thing. And
Right.
I'm a valuable asset to them because I'm the only guy coming from the south.
Yeah, you're getting that data on your way
Yeah,
up. And I love that you see it that way and talk about it that way. The communal teamwork aspect. I wish there was more of that, down here on
yeah,
the southern part of the lower Chesapeake. The respect of the resource that you hold in such high regard, and the sense of community and honest feedback and helping each other, is really how it should be
yeah.
out there.
So the other day we were fishing and we went out, and the first place we went, I was on the east side of the channel, around 70. I usually start around 70, buoy number 70, which is right out behind Smith Island.
Okay.
And so I'm there, and once I get there, I'm on the phone with Jamie Cloud with Eastern Shore Light Tackle, and Pete Dahlberg with Four Seasons, and Griffin, Steve Griffin and Griffin's Guide Service, um, Greg Shute with ifishmaryland.com. iFishM, whatever the hell it is. It's ifishmd.com, or it's Greg Shute, his son Brennan. And we're just back and forth on the phone. Back here, what are we doing? Where are we at? Okay, yeah. We're looking. In the summer, Cole Langley, Desperate Measures, he's in it. He's doing the taxidermy thing now for the winter. But so
All
we're
right.
all back and forth. And and I'm riding, we're looking at the size scan, we're looking at the bottom machine, and the guy goes, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "Listen, there's 5 or 6 of us in this chat right now," and I said, "At the end of the day, we're all going to be in one big pile." And he looked at me like, "What?" And about an hour and a half later, we caught a few fish. Everybody's catching a few, and I think it was Jamie that found them, and Jamie's like, "Got them," and they're in, I don't know, maybe 2 hours from that point. You look around, and there's like, there the 6 of us are,
Yeah.
and we're all just picking at having a great time. Everybody's doing good.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and one thing I do need to do, I need to congratulate Captain Mike Garner.
Hmm.
He was the Eastern Shore Light Tackle Charters Employee of the Year.
Wow.
It's a 2-man show, and yeah, he got 1 vote. So,
Well, congratulations to him on beating the odds. I mean, my goodness. Now, I'm curious. So, I've kind of listened carefully to try to pick up on a couple of tips about how
yep.
to target and get that bite. Obviously, the water's super cold, so that light bite, it's almost like speckled trout in the winter too. It's always a very subtle bite. It's not an
Yep.
explosive thing because they're lazily feeding. But how are you actually fishing for them? Is it a trolling bite, or
Yeah.
are you jigging?
Well, I think one thing on that, we're casting light, we're casting artificial lures.
Okay,
What we'll
casting.
do, yep, what we'll do is we'll get a drift going. We'll find some fish, and basically we'll just drift along, motor off, strangleholds not banging on the jukebox, on the stereo. So
Yeah,
trying to keep very quiet because
quiet.
yeah. So we'll do that. We'll find these fish, and if they're on the bottom or close to the bottom, we'll cast that thing out as far as we can, and snap jig it off the bottom and let it fall. Snap jig it off the bottom, let it bring it up about 2 feet off the bottom, and let it fall. It's a reactionary strike. It's always on the fall, and
Yep.
many times the bite's so subtle when you go to snap jig it back up, he's already there. You know,
Ah,
so
got
that
it.
happens. That happens a lot. Now,
Got it.
if those fish are suspended in the water column, say 20 feet down, 30 feet down, whatever they are, um, we'll switch our game up real quick and go with something a little bit lighter that's going to fall slower. and it'll keep it in that strike zone a little longer. It's hard to keep something falling quickly in the strike zone. So we'll lighten it up a little bit and go with a wider bait, one of those freedom baits or those fish type baits that's going to fall. That eel falls quickly.
Right.
But it's something with a little bit wider profile will fall slower and kind of flutter down a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we'll do. And we'll find success that way. But, once again, it's tremendously important to have what I call lure awareness, knowing where it is, knowing, having no slack in that line to be able to feel that small bite. So by casting out, fan casting around the boat for, for these things, we were able to cover some area and we were able to, kind of see where the fish are. We tend to know that anyhow because with the electronics we have, but it's kind of fun, man. I thrive on the chaos, Luke. I do.
No, that's right.
I do.
No, that's right.
When things get rolling, and we got, like the other day, we had 3 fish on, and the drag's peeling off, and everything. You go over, do the dance, man, do the dance. I just, they're the moments I live for, and to just kind of recap the trip we had the other day. We rolled out. We started at 70. We rolled up to 72, and I kind of got a little deep. For whatever reason, I was not paying attention like I should, and I found myself.
Do you mean in the water? The water
Yeah.
getting deeper?
Yeah, I was in 100 feet, and I'm like, oh shit. So I pushed it back up on the edge, and when I came across that edge, I mean, this screen just covered up, man. They were stacked up in there pretty heavy, and we rolled right across them. They were a little bit smaller fish. They were, the 27s to 35s is what they were, but it was fun. They were thick on the bottom. 2 of my anglers were they didn't have that. They were struggling with that lure awareness thing. So what I did, I'm a big fan of these ahi. I think they're Ikera or something like that. Ahi jigs, little metal jig. They're in grams now, so I got to go back to my college to figure out what that is in ounces. But so it's so I use about an 80 gram, and the hooks on them are tandem hook rigs, super sharp, real sticky hooks. And if the fish are on the bottom, and we have somebody that doesn't have a lot of that lure awareness, we'll use those jigs, and that helps tremendously. And they're very effective. You don't miss many with them.
Yeah, I mean, from my previous experience in striper fishing, which is not much, that subtle bite, that jig like you're talking about, it all comes together very very subtly to get that bite, and you really have to be paying attention to the rod tip and get that feel correct. But like you said, it's like any other bass, it's always going to hit it on the drop.
Yeah,
you almost have to have a little faith in that.
Yeah, you do. You'd asked about trolling. We did troll the other day. When we found the fish, Luke, they were scattered all over the place, and they weren't in real big groups or whatever. Hey, Luke, come here, say hi to Johnny.
Hey, Luke, how's it going, brother? Nothing much. How you doing today?
Johnny runs
Doing well.
He's one of Bruce's customers.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, you know what? I think I remember back in the day dropping off something to mallards. I'm sure.
So you know Derek? Derek is one of their drivers. He's a dreadlock guy. I don't know. Either way. What do you?
Yeah, I do know Derek. And tell the folks listening where you guys are located on the Eastern Shore and what kind of cuisine genre you guys specialize in.
Yeah, we're in a beautiful waterfront spot right here in downtown in Hancock. It's a nice little historic town, and we are seafood focused. We got a great tiki bar out on the water, in the summertime. We have live music. I play music myself, so that makes me the musical chef. That's what I do. So
I like that. I like that a lot. Do you play the guitar?
I do play guitar and sing.
Yeah. Awesome. One of my favorite sandwiches. You remember I talked about the Scottish salmon BLT?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
That's the guy.
Cool.
That Scottish salmon that Sam Russ gets is just to die for. I mean, I love cutting off that lower kind of belly portion to do some sashimi bites or splash a little
tartar. Yeah, I make a
Oh
little
man,
tartare with it, sesame oil, and go to town. So good deal.
you're making me hungry. So you're saying I could boat up there and pull up to the restaurant and enjoy a day, make a day of it?
Anytime.
Oh, look at it. The water's right there.
Look, and there's docks right there. You can tie up right here, Luke.
Very.
The crazy thing is
Yeah,
those are
real
good
deep
looking
water
docks.
creek. Real deep water creek. We're just about 3 miles off of the bay proper. And,
Okay.
it's a deep water. We have a barge that comes in twice a week. So it's keeping a nice, wide, deep channel. And
Nice.
you can get in here and dock your boat and have 10 foot under your boat. No problem. So
That's awesome,
Yeah.
John. Great to meet you. And
likewise,
folks,
man.
if you're listening, make a stop in there.
I got to move. I got to move to another table. They got reservations for that table with a beautiful
Oh.
young lady.
You're getting booted.
I got booted.
I got to fly.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, man. So that's what we're doing, man. Tackle. I made the switch over to these Okuma reels. So I'm using a 2500 reel on a medium light rod. So it handles 2 ounce bucktail pretty well, or a 2 ounce lure pretty well, but there still has the sensitivity. Can you hear me?
I think where you moved in the restaurant,
Yeah.
your signal. Yeah, I think where you
Hold
moved
on.
in the restaurant, your signal dropped.
All right, hold on a second. I'm waiting on my PFG order to get here. Yeah, all right, you got me.
Yeah, there you are.
You got me.
So
All right, there you go.
we had a little internet glitch there, but I think we're back now. So you were talking about the sort of tackle of choice for
Yeah.
running these baits.
So we're running an Okuma. It's not an Okuma. What the hell is this thing? It's a Quantum. I'm running these Quantum 2500s that we switched to.
Okay.
We're running them on a medium
Yeah.
light Tsunami carbon fiber rod, and
Yep.
drag system on these reels are awesome. Price point's pretty good too, and
Yeah.
and the rod's big enough to carry that 1.5 2 ounce lure, and still provide the sensitivity that's required.
Got it. That makes
Now,
sense.
in terms of line, I use a 15-pound braid is what I use, and
Really? That's so
yeah,
light.
it is because
Even for those big 40 plus inchers, that'll get the job done.
absolutely it will get it done. It does get it done.
Wow.
The drag's not what you call super heavy. We're running, I don't know what pound it is, but it's a relatively
Like
light.
8,
Yeah,
9, roughly 7.
probably that.
Yeah.
Probably about that.
Yeah, because they're not real
I'm
they're
not.
not real violent, super violent fighters, are they?
No, it's not. It's when they turn to go, they're going to turn to go. I mean, that tail's like a straw broom. When they turn
Yeah.
to go, and they're going to do that. There's a little bit of head shake, but they're not as aggressive as maybe a red or whatever because of the temperature right now. That's got them knocked down a little bit. But
Yeah.
hold on one second. We've got a reservation going on here.
Popular.
So
That's
yeah, it's
good. Popular place.
yeah, so it's with that 15-pound, that's plenty. Usually it's a steady pull on it. It's not a lot of herky jerky stuff. So
Right.
that works. And the other thing too with it, that why that's the lot. I mean, some guys use 12, but with the 15, I think it's enough. I think it's I could put a little more heat on them possibly, but you need that light line to feel that bite.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And how long? Here it is, like basically the end of the year, beginning of January. How long do you anticipate this bite being good for with these trophy stripers?
I anticipate it being good. Well, we fortunately it looks as though that Maryland's they tried to shut down the catch and release until in January, February, and March, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like we've been successfully keeping that open.
Nice.
I fully anticipate this fishery, going, until it's too cold to fish, whatever that number is. I haven't found that number yet. Uh, but, but it's, we should be able to catch them into February. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think the fish are there. Angler efforts there. I think we'll be able to find them.
Gotcha.
And in March, we're kind of focusing on getting back into the drum swing of things. We had our first one last year on March 27th, and although Maryland will be closed in April, and harvest is closed for rockfish in Virginia as well. But these big post spawn rockfish, the ones that have already spawned up in the bay, and they're pushing their way back south. They're cruising through and they're looking to pick up soft crabs and the like, and that's a normal part of our bycatch in shallow water as well.
Gotcha.
So so
Gotcha.
you know, fortunately, and Maryland's going to allow us to fish for these things. And I think it's a great thing. I think what we have right now is truly amazing. Uh, I don't know. A lot of people throw around the world class, whatever that means. But here's what I know. If you're a person who is looking to catch rockfish over 40 inches,
This is the
then
place.
now's the time to go.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is the place and this is the time.
well, if folks are listening and they're like, you know what, I want to get one of those. I want to put that on my, check that off my bucket list. And they want to do it with you with, Tangier Sound Charters. What's the best way they can get in contact with you and get booked on a trip for themselves?
Man, old school phone call is the best way, or text message even at 410-251-7341. Or you can check us out on the Facebook or the Instagram at Tangier Sound Charters. We're right there. And, one thing that I do, and I think it's important, is, if we go fishing and don't catch a fish, I've got a skunk picture that I'll put up, because
Yeah.
that
Keep it
does
honest.
happen. That
Yeah.
does happen. From time to time, we do draw. What's up, George? Want to see him? Hey, say hi to my man George. He's a whole driver, man. George getting it done. Me and George are brothers from another mother.
What's up, George?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Happy New
Good to
Year
see
to
you,
you.
man. Me and George worked together a long time. George made me look good a lot because I had a rough time making myself look good. That's for sure.
Well, man, that's great to hear. You got some availability open, and I think that
Yeah.
folks that are listening have heard enough to go, okay, if I'm going to catch a striped bass that's big, I'm going to get out there with Captain CL. So, man, as always,
Yep.
thanks for being
And
on the
look,
show, and also really appreciate you introducing us to John and telling us a little bit about mallards, man. I'm going to have to make that a stop here in 2026.
yeah, you should. Yeah, well, when you come up and go fishing with me, we'll do that.
There it is.
I always look forward to his fish. I always look forward to his fish specials. He does a good job with those, and that salmon BLT is my favorite. But the cool thing about him and his style of cooking is he's open to something new all the time. If there's a wahoo or this or that Sam Russ comes up with, it'll usually show up on the menu here.
Oh yeah, that's what you got to look forward to with great local restaurants like that. And I love that view. Folks obviously can't see it because we're on audio only, but it's this gorgeous view of the water, great dock space to pull up by boat and make a day of it. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I wish you a happy new year, you and your family, and look forward to seeing how the striper fishing continues. And like we said, if folks are listening, now's the time. Call Captain CL, get booked. It's definitely a trip that you will remember.
Absolutely. You know what? I've got this new thing now that we're doing. I can. I've been serving hot dogs on the boat. It's a
That's
struggle. I
awesome.
don't have a microwave, but I've got this method now that and it's amazing how M&Ms or a nice hot dog will turn the bite on sometimes. So hey, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Dude, that's fantastic. Well, hey, man, great report. Learned a lot today, and I look forward to catching up with you guys soon over there at Tangier Sound. Thanks for being on.
Come see us, and thank you, Luke. And I'm sorry about yesterday.
Oh, no worries at all, man. That was a well-deserved nap. Very well-deserved. Well,
Yeah.
folks,
All right, brother. Be safe.
you too, folks. That's gonna wrap up a really cool striper report Some neat techniques that we learned talking to Captain CL about how you can go artificial. You don't necessarily have to bump troll those eels to catch some of those jumbo stripers. So hope you guys learned something. I sure did. Stick around for a quick word from our sponsors that make this show free for you each week, and we'll be back with you real soon. Serious shallow water anglers count on Stay Put Anchor to do exactly what the name says. Keep smaller boats locked in place. Fast, quiet, and without dropping a heavy, noisy hook. Built in the USA and designed for boats under 24 feet, Stay Put's solid fiberglass pole spikes pair with marine-grade bow, stern, or drill-free motor mounts for quick installation. So more time spent fishing and less rigging. Choose from 6-foot to 12-foot pole options and the versatile super handle to stake out on flats, sandbars, or in the pads. Affordable, dependable, and proven by anglers nationwide. Learn more or build a custom kit at stayputanchor.com. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free AFCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.